Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is keep the spotlight on the group whenever you can. When they put it on you, you find a way to put it back. That can take care of a lot of your performance anxiety. Your performance anxiety is natural, Deb. It's your excitement that has no place to go. So when you're waiting for the class to start, you have all this excitement and no place to put it, so it turns into anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, oh, look at all this anxiety I have. It's only because you haven't stepped up and said, hi, I'm Deb, what's yours? The minute you do that, you put your excitement into play, the anxiety will go right down. And now you'll find yourself just ready for any questions they ask you, because that's what you want. You want them to ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were going to teach what is process, I'd start out with, hi, all you do, welcome to so-and-so. I would check in and I would say, I'm really pleased to be here. I'm noticing that I'm excited and a little anxious to be here right now, and I'm wondering where we're going to go and what we're going to do, but I'm open for everything. How are you doing? You know, in that movie, in that play Gypsy, hi, my name is Alice, what's yours? Did you ever see Gypsy Rose Lee? My name is Rose, what's yours? So now that's a good way now to discharge anxiety, is to tell people about it.
Okay.
Not details, just I'm feeling some anxiousness right now. I'm not sure what to do with it. But not a history of anxiety. Oh, I remember when I used to not be anxious and now I'm just what's going on right now. Because the spotlight is on you to start out with. Oh, here, I'm Deb. Who are you? And the spotlight goes back onto them again. Oh, what is process? Well, process is anything that ends in an ing. Here's 3 examples. Jumping, skipping, roping. Do you see the action there? That's the process the people are in. What's your response to that? Back out to the audience again. And then you won't feel that with the spotlight not on you. You probably won't feel so much anxiety. And discharging a little bit of it by sharing, that gets it flowing. So get it flowing, share it, and then put the attention back on them. I don't know if they teach you this in
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters or not, but this is one way to keep you in the present moment. Because what we do when we panic is we go away, right?
Oh yeah.
We go back to, oh shit, and we get scared.
Mm-hmm.
And we go, oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know what I'm doing. Oh shit, this has happened before. Oh my God. And we just leave the moment, we're not even there. So they can't even feel our presence. So what we say is going to have no effect at all, because it's not coming from any place of in the now. And so most of my teachers in college were like this. They did a lecture on physics is 1/2 plus I pi, and when you do that, they weren't here. I could learn what they taught me out of the book before I came to class, but they're adding nothing to the learning experience for me, because they're not here. But when somebody steps up and says, hi, I feel some excitement now. I'm just really ready to get started. I just have just a whole lot of things I feel like sharing with you right now. What's going on with you? The whole auditorium could come alive. So if you watch Jerry Robbins speak, you know,
Tony Robbins?
Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
He has just so much presence in the room.
Oh, he's so charismatic.
He's just totally there. He shows you everything about himself before he does anything. And you feel his presence.
Who is this?
Tony Robbins?
Robbins.
Tony Robbins. He's a motivational speaker.
It's very good.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Mhm.
Robin.
Tony Roberts.
Roberts.
Robin.
Robin.
Like
Between-
the bird.
Deb will keep Tony Robbins. Thank you, Deb. So, if you
Sorry,
don't
he's not
know
my
who
big
he is, ask Deb. I'll put my spotlight. I'll put the spotlight on Deb here.
Wow,
Okay.
good. Yeah, good memory, huh?
No, he's just one of my favorite.
Oh.
Yeah. I have some CDs of his, and yeah, I've listened to him in the car and things. He's very good.
And Wayne Dwyer is another person who, they present the material to you, but they give you ongoing examples of how it affected them in the moment. And so they come alive too. So people who come alive are probably going to capture the audience.
Mm.
Good teachers.
Yeah.
Give people time to speak.
Right. So we were talking about, Deb was talking about performance anxiety she has before she teaches a class.
Mm-hmm.
We were going over some things you could do to reduce that anxiety.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of something.
I'm happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. As always. I'm always happy
Well,
to
you
be
both brighten up the room
Yeah,
in
but,
here, so that's wonderful.
That's my buddy, man.
Yeah.
I need to BTI with Elise.
so. Anyway, I think I have a similar anxiety around like when I'm getting ready to preach or something like that.
Mhm.
So, always, and so sometimes I notice that I can discharge that before I go up, and sometimes I don't do it so good, and so,
And when you do discharge it, how do you do that?
I kind of do a little bit of a meditation before I do it, and I check in with myself, and just making sure, you know.
You mean you're really in your head when you started like that?
I just want to make sure that I'm okay with being exactly where I am right now, right in the moment, and
Right.
that it doesn't matter what else is going on, I'm here. And if I find myself connected like that, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. Yeah. And sometimes when I'm doing that, I'll get scared and go, holy shit, what's going on here? Everybody's looking at me and everybody's expecting to hear things. And
Mhm.
the world collapses. I need to hide.
Right. Yeah.
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 So.
So when I put the spotlight on them, I also put the responsibility for them to get something out of the class on me. So right here, I could get in this point where I have to make sure that this class is fruitful for you guys, and you learn a lot. And I have to be on, and I have to be on, and the spotlight's on me, and I have to do a dance and a jig that's entertaining and fulfilling and teaches you something you didn't know, so that you'll leave here with something that I gave you. So what if I put the spotlight here and say, I'm just going to be I'm just going to be here, and you guys are going to have to find ways of making what I say meaningful to you. Now, you're going to take responsibility for what I say becoming meaningful to you. You're going to be responsible for whether sitting here with me has been fulfilling for you. Do you see what I mean? You're in charge of getting some fulfillment out of me today. And the truth is, no matter how dry of a speaker I am, you still could find some things to get from me. Maybe my mannerisms, or the way I scratch my nose, or what I say, but you could look at your hand and take responsibility for getting meaning out of what that is. If you all just look at your hand, or right now, just look at your hand and say, all right, So what can I get out of just looking at my hand right now?
Mm.
What can I discover about me in just looking at my hand right now? What can I be responsible for learning about me by looking at my hand right now? You could look at the way it moves. You could look at which fingers move. You could open and you could close it. You could feel your tendons and your nerves opening and shutting. You could imagine what it would be like to wave.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Hi, Shin. So then you could, so you spent 5 minutes looking at your hand, and I say, so what did you get out of looking at your hand? Did you get anything out of looking at your hand?
Me? I was just noticing my fingernails and how uneven they were.
Okay.
How, I don't know, surprisingly how young looking this side of my hand was looking. Like,
All right.
that's
I thought
nice.
that too. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was noticing my ring, and I was wondering about the lines on my palm and wondering what that all meant, because I know that there's supposed to be meaning to some of those lines.
Right.
And I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, those are some of the first things I
Okay.
noticed.
What did you notice as you looked at your hand, Deb?
I wonder why it looks so oily.
Okay, so you became
Like
curious.
glistening in the sun, and I wondered,
Yeah.
it didn't look as dry as it usually.
So it brought out some curiosity in you,
Mhm.
some questioning in you,
Mhm. My nails, I know they don't look good because I'm growing them
and
out.
some, it brings out some judgment in you.
Definitely.
So this is the way that you took responsibility for making meaning out of looking at your hand.
Yeah.
Right? You are responsible for making meaning out of your lives, not just your hand. So you are
Right.
always 100% responsible for making meaning out of the world and everything that happens to you.
Yes.
So you're coming to my class tonight, and I'm going to talk to you about how the universe works. And you're going to look at me, and you're going to be responsible for getting something from me. I'm not going to be responsible
That's my responsibility.
for you getting something from me. Now imagine what that could do to reduce your anxiety, Deb. First of all, you've shared your anxiety with the audience, so you've released it.
Mhm.
Second of all, you've determined to turn the spotlight onto them whenever you can. And the third thing is, even when the spotlight's on you, they're still responsible for seeing what they see, hearing what they hear. They're responsible for that. So whether this is going to be a good class or not is up to them. And some are going to leave this class saying, I couldn't get anything out of Don. He was so dry and drab and glove. And I was just totally bored with the whole thing. So that's what you decided to get out of my presentation. And another student says, I really liked his calmness and the way he was just like at ease with himself and how he just flowed from one topic to another. I just really liked that feeling. And now they're going to be responsible for that. So people are going to walk out of my class with mixed feelings about themselves. But it had almost nothing to, I was the catalyst. They are the reactors to the catalyst. So that's why I'm saying, number one, share your anxiety. Number two, put the spotlight on the client whenever you can. Number three, even when the spotlight's on you, realize that it's still about them. Even when it's on you, it's still about them. So now I look at my audience differently. I don't look at them as somebody with like a bird waiting for mama bird to put the worms in their mouths. Peck, 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 peck. Let me give you this, let me give you that. It's not me fulfilling you. It's me fulfilling me and allowing you to fulfill yourself. So even though the spotlight is on you, I'm still connected to me. So I'm here, right? I'm going to tell you my truth today, and I'm going to allow you to run with it or not. So that's another concept I use to keep my anxiety down. So that's my lecture today, folks. You are the meaning makers. You are the ones who determine the quality of your lives. You are the ones who determine what you choose to see and what you choose to feel. You are 100% responsible for every experience you have. You are 100% responsible for every experience you have. Now, audience, how did you use that statement to either fulfill yourself, intrigue yourself, or shut yourself off? What, audience, what did you do with my statement? That's a real question. Audience, what did you do with my statement?
Yeah, you take it in.
And when you took it in, what kind of experience did you have?
I felt responsible for it.
Uh-huh.
I should pay attention.
Okay.
If I want to get anything out of anything, otherwise I'm
But the
wasting my own
statement
time.
itself, that you are responsible for
I'm
everything.
responsible.
What did it like? What was it like for you to hear that message?
It felt like truth.
Okay.
For me, I kind of caught up in the reflecting about, I mean, when I was a kiddo, I wouldn't even volunteer to speak right now because the attention gets shifted to me.
Right.
And I was always trying to hide in the corner and hopefully not be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when I move over into that chair, I mean, something shifts. I mean, right now I feel like really present and available and be able to talk to you and share with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment that label gets put over my head that says, I'm the instructor, and I'm supposed to know, and I've got this responsibility, there's something that does shift in me a little bit, I think.
Right.
But like me sitting here right now, oh God, I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Okay. And so my question also is, what experience did you as an audience member have in response to my catalyst, which said we're 100% responsible for our experience? What experience did you have from that?
It fell on me like I was really fine with it. I mean, I had total, I'm totally here and totally responsible for me.
So you responded to my statement, well, that feels really congruent for me.
Absolutely.
And Deb, that feels really truthful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Shin, what was your response to my statement when I said that?
I feel like I'm getting some kind of energy, which turns into the courage to speak what I want to say to you, because I always conscious about my language. I think the problem, but it's your responsibility how you take what I say.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I can be more courageous. I have more courage to speak, express what I feel, even still in here. So when you said that, you say it, you just speak that statement, but for me, it just give me some kind of energy to me, or the confidence to me. Or
So you used to bring yourself energy and confidence.
Confidence, that's right, yes, that's how I
and
feel.
you brought it to bring yourself congruent affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And Carol, how did you respond to my statement? You're responsible for every experience you have.
I let it drift in and just be put together, this got one in that hole in my mind, and I remember that.
So you took what I said and figured it into one of your organizational
Receptors,
units
yeah.
somewhere. Did it fit into one of your categories or one of your units? Did you have an emotional experience? or an intellectual experience from those words? Or a physical experience?
Nothing big. I was enjoyed.
Okay, enjoyment.
Enjoyed.
So you decided to get
Everybody
enjoyment
talking
out of
about
what I said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You decided to get
And-
confidence and energy out of what I
Right.
said. You decided to get affirmations and congruency out of what I said.
Yeah. I was thinking what I would say next.
I want to make sure that this
Yeah.
camera is on. So last time I didn't even turn it on. Oh, let me see this way. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
All right. All right.
And I just agree with you 100%. That's
Uh-huh.
exactly, it's all my responsibility. It's all I am responsible for whatever I think of the people outside and what's happening outside and the relationship and conflict there. I am responsible. Maybe someone is not 100%, but that is really great effect.
Mhm.
I am the one who make the meaning out of whatever it is, yeah.
So now you're hoping maybe
Thank you.
in your audience somebody will say, well, wait a minute, I have cancer. Am I responsible for that too? You don't necessarily want everyone in your audience to use it affirmatively or energy-wise or joyfully. You know, you're quite an audience to take my statement and turn it into those things. But what if you turn it into a challenge? Spotlight back on me again, right? So when the spotlight's back on me, I try to take, I say, okay, I'm going to come up with my best answer to that, and then I'm going to put the energy back on you again. So for a moment, I'll sit in the spotlight and feel the heat of the searchlight on me for a minute, and maybe how am I going to respond to that? But then I realize that I'm still not responsible for the way that person interpreted my question. They interpreted it as I was responsible for all physical diseases that I create. But I do want them to share the way I want them to share the way they took in my energy, my information. So I might say, I'm not sure right now. That question, I'm just kind of disoriented. But I think what my answer to that question would be, you're responsible for your experience of cancer, not cancer. So that would be, and again, so I'm not saying that you're creating your physiological illnesses. I'm saying that I think you're also responsible for how you would experience your cancer. What's your response to that? So I just give the best answer I can, and I put it back out there. And I wait for the audience to go, bullshit, or that feels great, I get it, or oh, I never thought of that before, or see, I'm a catalyst for them having, they came here to have an experience. So I'm the catalyst for the experience they're going to have. I kind of feel privileged. So I could just say something like, you know, you're all responsible for your own illnesses. And if you have cancer, it's your own fault. Now, I'm still the catalyst for their experience. And the reason I could do this is because they're going to now still use me to have another experience. Fuck you, what the hell, and who do you, and I'm still allowing them to be responsible for their reactions. I don't even have to tell them the truth. I'm a catalyst for what I'd like to be is a catalyst for them finding consciousness. So that's my hope, that I'm not just a catalyst for their experience. I'm hoping that they'll find some level of allowance in what I say, some level of consciousness in what I say. But I don't need them to. If I had a goal for teaching, would be I would like to be the instigator of an allowance in consciousness. I'd like to be the instigator of teaching people about allowance and consciousness. And then they could learn whatever the hell they wanted to. And I would say, Carol would say, how'd you do today, Don? And I'd say, yes, I was an instrument. of teaching
Mm-hmm.
consciousness and I forgot the other word.
Allowance.
Allowance, thank you. And there's a little part of me that says, Don, your memory's going, watch out. It's okay, I grab that
So
part
many
and I
people
say,
listening.
yes, I think my memory is going a little bit, and as I get older, I notice that happening more and more, and that's just really okay. People who love me like Deb will fill in the blanks for
Yep.
me, and the world will still be all okay with me, and maybe I'm not as sharp and as quick as I used to be, but I'm still allowing myself to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be the catalyst of allowance and consciousness here. So when I teach the process model,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm really teaching is allowance and consciousness. But there's a curriculum to be had here, right? You're going to learn what are the 3 steps in blocking, what are the 7 steps that a client goes through: presenting, introspection, connection, and I want you to teach me all of these steps that the clients go through. Even when I'm teaching you the steps that a client's going through, I want to demonstrate allowance and consciousness. I want my teaching to be full of allowance and consciousness. That means not getting caught up in you needing something from me. My allowance goes out the window the minute I go, oh God, I gave you an incorrect answer. Oh my God, I didn't do it good enough. Oh my God, when I go, oh my God, I'm not in allowance anymore. So my goal is to sit here in allowance and talk about anything I want to talk about and let you be responsible for what you learn. So it's helpful to say to yourself or out loud, class, tonight, keep in mind that you will be responsible for whatever experience you allow yourself to get from me. You're going to be responsible for how you feel about this material. You're going to be responsible for it. Now, classes don't like to hear that necessarily. So you might want to say it to yourself. But you could say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard anybody say it out loud except for Power of Now guy, Eckhart. I heard Eckhart say that one time out loud to a class. So that again, I'm off the hook. Okay. Questions or comments so far about all of this?
All this allowance flowing around in the room, I'm just feeling like
We
really
need a little more
relaxed
disallowance.
and
Even your
present.
dog
It's a
just
great
laying there in allowance. I
Yeah.
mean, we need a little bit of disallowance in this room
Yeah.
so we can practice.
I don't know where we're going to find it because it's not me or her.
It's not going to come from you. And even if we performed it, we probably wouldn't. Still, we'd be allowing ourselves to perform it. So there'd still be a allowance going on in this room.
I guess there's some disallowance of disallowance.
Yeah. So in going with the model, let's say the first step is getting ready. And so what am I going to do to get ready? I'm going to go into a room, maybe sit down, and I'm going to say to myself, I want to be in allowance. I want to be in a place where nothing can go wrong, where I can't see anything. Everything is fine just how it is. I want to be in a place where I can tell my truth. I want to be in a place where I can keep shifting the spotlight back to where it belongs, for the audience to learn whatever they need to learn. And I'll be okay just as I am. So they'll be okay, and they'll be responsible for what they learn. And I'll be okay, because I'm just going to share allowance and consciousness, and I'm just going to talk about the process model. Big deal. I don't have to justify the model, I'm just going to talk about it. So that's prep. I get myself prepped, and I start to feel this sense of calmness coming over me, where, okay, I'm not in performance mode anymore. I'm just doing my part in a drama. I'm being the material that is being cast into the eye. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is get up go out, sit down in front of the class, and start out with, whoa, here's what's going on with me right now. What's going on with you guys right now? That was probably always my favorite first step, is to share what's going on with me. I'm teaching the concepts I'm walking my talk when I talk that. I'm talking about being conscious and being aware and allowing and being in the now. And that statement displays all of those concepts without me even telling you what the concepts are. Hi, I notice what's going on with me is start. And then in the second step I can be, does anybody else want to share what's going on with them before we get into that? So whenever I put something out, I'll always turn the spotlight back. Anybody out there have anything, how are you all doing right now? Anybody want to share their experience with the class? So you might get total silence. Because nobody wants, people have trouble when the spotlight's on them. You were just saying that, Elise. When the spotlight's on you, all of a sudden something shifts in you. And you're, oh my God, I'm doing now it's up to me. All right, so then the next thing I'm going to say, all right, now I'm going to lecture. I'm going to tell you something about the process model now. So now we're into the step one of teaching, which is lecture. We've already taken care of ourselves. Now we're step one, lecture. You're all responsible for every experience you have in this life, whether it's a positive or a negative experience. You're all responsible. And if you try to give that responsibility away to somebody else, like somebody else made you feel bad or somebody else did this to you, you are unempowering yourself. You are taking power away from yourself and giving it to somebody else. And you're saying, world, here's my power, make me feel good, make me feel bad. So whenever you don't own your experience of yourself, you have given your empowerment away. You haven't given it away. You've just given it away. You haven't given it up to anybody. You've just given it away. Here, you decide how I feel. You decide how I feel. I want to go to a good movie, so I'll laugh. I got to choose a movie that'll make me laugh, and then I choose a movie that makes me cry. Damn it. So I'm going to not put it out on the world. So that's my lecture today, people. So my first step here is to lecture. I've given you a 5-minute lecture. And now, what's the next thing I do once I lecture? Why don't you give one of these to Shin? Do you have yours from last week? Okay.
I can make her a copy.
Oh, where's my bag?
No, you got your done.
No, I made 3 copies. Oh, okay, Shin wasn't. I didn't know.
Oh, you know it's coming.
Okay, show.
That's okay. I didn't know you were going to.
And I forgot last week. I just was there doing something and 6 o'clock.
And you just let it slip right on by. So you are the catalyst for my reaction. Don't be worried. There's nothing you have to do right now. It's up to me how I decide to respond to that, right?
Yeah.
Actually, if they start acting up or something, they're taking hold of your subject and they want to get into it deeper. You know, maybe not on the good side about that, but that's still connected to what they said.
Yeah.
You know.
So I could respond, oh, so we're not important enough to remember, huh? Or I could respond, well, how neat of you to notice that how neat it was that you missed us last week. Or my response could be, I love you no matter whether you attend these classes or not.
Yeah.
Or I could respond with,
Yeah, I'm really glad you listened to what I said.
So I have so many ways that I can respond to what you just said. And you are only responsible for what you just said. Nothing else. And that's hard to draw the line. I put out and am not responsible for what comes back. I'm only responsible for what I put out, not for what comes back. And that's another way of saying, I allow you to be responsible for what comes back at me. All right, so I've lectured for 3 minutes. I told you that you are totally responsible and you are unempowered if you gave it away. Now the first thing in process, it says, invite questions and comments. So I say to you, so class, what comments or questions do you have about what I just said?
Hmm.
So be my class now.
Okay.
And do you have any questions or comments about what I just said about your 100% response?
Yeah. Well, first off, it sounded like so exciting that I don't need to be responsible for what you're saying or doing to what I say. I'm going, yay.
All right. So it feels kind of freeing.
No, totally.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
What
all.
other responses or questions do you have about what is it clear? Do you have questions about what I said?
What about the responsibility of what you're teaching? How
I
are
take
you
responsibility
accountable?
for
How
that.
are you accountable for that?
I hold myself accountable for what I put out,
Mm-hmm.
not what you give me. So what I'm going to put out is I'm going to try to put out the process, the curriculum called the process model to you. I'm going to be responsible to put out that curriculum. I'm not going to be responsible for what you got or what comes back.
Right.
And I know the first principle I want to teach you in this model is you're responsible for your own your whole experience. So I'm taking responsibility for what I want to teach.
I like that question, Deb. And that leads me into asking, because I mean, the first thing that comes up for me when you say that is, wow, if I take responsibility, that means that I'm going to have to start judging myself whether I met that responsibility or if I
Yeah.
was irresponsible.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, I do take responsibility, and I do go home and I say, did I present the process model? Did I agreed to put out the process model. What if I got lost? I want to own, oh, I got lost and we ended up talking about something else, or we didn't get as far as I hoped we would in the material. I thought we'd get all the way through SING, then and go through all of those within the first, and we didn't get all of that material out. That's me taking responsibility for me. And that's what self-evaluation is. And so I say, well, I like the way I had it. I think I was a little sloppy here. I think I could have been more succinct here. I think maybe I could have got through this material, but we got distracted and I allowed that to happen. That's me taking responsibility for me. But I'm not taking responsibility for you. But I'm asking you, okay, so we're now in the first phase of feedback is questions and comments. And as you'll notice, what I did here is I joined them. So I said, so I tried to reiterate what you just said. So what you said was you were feeling really free. So not only do I ask you questions, but when you give me an answer, I try to join it. Oh, at least you're saying this message kind of set you into a phase of freedom and you felt really good. Is that what you said? Or Deb, this
Yes.
brought up for you the idea about responsibility for the material. Is that it? So not only am I asking you a question, but I'm going to join your response. So that's step one in feedback. I've given you my lecture. Step one is questions and comments and joining your feedback. Now, if here it says, if respond briefly to any question asked off topic. Well, in a way, Deb asked me a question off topic, which was, do I take responsibility for material? Which had nothing to do with my statement. You're all responsible for your experience. But I just gave her a short answer and came back. I don't want to say, I'll cover responsibility in 3 weeks, Deb, hang on to that. I want to give her a quick, short answer. Yeah. And then I'm going to come back to the original topic, which is you are responsible for your own experience. Okay, so that's step one in the feedback. You can see step one in the feedback. think the second step is answer and respond to their questions.
You just did a little bit
We
of
did that,
too.
didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess joining is, number 2 is also joining,
Mhm.
right? Answer and respond to their questions and comments from the questioner's point of view, using their language.
Mhm.
And it's also used like to use their name. So Elise, you're saying that you had a sense of freedom and you were relieved. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yes, perfect.
So that's, whenever possible, I use her language
Mhm.
and I use her name and I respond to her answer. Okay, so that's answer number 2. Number 3 says, hand off possible responses to the other members of discussion. So I didn't do that yet, so let me do that. So, did anybody else have a sense of freedom that
I did.
Elise had in this class when she heard those words?
I feel like I'm relieved, or I will just some kind of burden lift up, because I
Uh-huh.
always feel like I'm responsible for the people who had a conversation with me, or who had a lecture from me, or something like that. So I feel
Uh-huh.
like if it is their responsibility, I feel kind of some kind of burden is lifted up, and I'm relieved. Yeah.
So I hear from
When I
you
hear-
that it's also a freeing, opening
Yes.
experience
Mm-hmm.
that you're having out of those words as well. So at least 2 of you in this class have. Did anybody have a different kind of experience to those words?
More curious, I'll have to wait to see is how I feel.
Yeah, I need more. I'm speculating.
I can't feel that yet.
So what you're saying, Deb, is you're going to not embrace this material right away. You're going to sit with it a little bit and play with it a little bit before.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still nervous.
Sure.
I still feel nervous thinking about it.
Sure. Because probably it's new material, I think. So does anybody else also feel a sense of nervousness and I'll wait and see?
I think this is why I haven't wanted to do group stuff yet on my own. It's been very scary for me, and even though I've been able to do it, it makes me very nervous.
Right. So yeah, because you want to make sure that you contemplate and sit with everything you're teaching. That's my sense.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you know what you're teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
My knowledge, I feel like my knowledge needs to be at par with, you know, what it should
Okay.
be.
So that's handoff, and then the last one is turn the question into an experiential exercise. So Elise, let me make a statement to you that that may not be true, and see what happens with that.
Come.
Okay, so you're responsible for my experience too, because we are in relationship.
That doesn't make sense to me.
So your response to that is you can't make sense out of it.
No.
And so when I say, well, you're responsible for you and I'm responsible for me, what kind of response do you have to that?
Yeah, that feels good to me.
Okay. So when something feels good, you know it's truthful, and when something feels confusing, it's not. So it's hard for you to embrace it, it's confusing.
Absolutely.
So that's the difference. But so if she were to ask me, how do I know that I've really been set free by this truth? I would have used this as a experiential exercise to challenge her on her perception of truth. You see, she didn't say that, so but had she said to me, yeah, I have this sense of truth and this freedom, but I don't really trust it. How do I know I can trust it? What if she said that to me? Then I would try to create an experience for her, so she could experiment with receiving something truthful and not truthful, so that she could learn that I guess you are capable of disseminating what's truthful and free to you and what is not.
I can, and sometimes I wonder if I'm perhaps not inquisitive enough, or maybe open enough to consider possibilities beyond that. So I have those wonderings sometimes.
So the wonderings go beyond truth, they say.
Well, that my truth is that the clarity in my truth, I have too much clarity, if that makes sense to you.
Mm.
And so I find myself wondering,
Yeah, I appreciate you asking if that makes sense to me, because I'm feeling like I'm having a response to you too. And for me, it makes sense that I'm always in a state of questioning, even whether I'm deciding whether something's true or not, that I always feel in a state of not wanting just to embrace it as totally true, that there's always more speculation that goes on. Maybe like Deb's has, I speculate about this a little bit before I embrace it completely. Is that the kind of experience you're having with it?
it could be, yeah.
And I don't care if I'm right. I don't care if I'm just offering her an alternative response.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, but you're not sure. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess right there in that statement, it's, yeah.
Okay. So we're through with lecture. 5 minutes, 4 questions. We've done number 1 lecture, and we've done feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback to lecture. Now the next thing is demonstrate. So how can I demonstrate this concept that we're responsible for our own reactions, our own experience? I want to demonstrate that for you right now, so I can show you an example of what I'm talking about. So I often can use myself as an example when I want to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Or I can use the board, or I can, somehow I want to get up and take what I said, I lectured, I want it to come alive.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want you to see it happen in front of you, right here. And I want to demonstrate it either with you, or I want to demonstrate it with me, but I want to demonstrate it. Now, so let's see how I would demonstrate this.
Treat you like you'd like to be treated. Same thing.
Okay, so I'd like somebody to, I'm going to demonstrate what it's like for me to take responsibility for my own truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like somebody just to say anything they want to me, offhanded, anything, just say it to me. Dawn, you, fill in that sentence. Anybody in the audience, Dawn, you.
Don, you always seem to wear sandals.
Ah, so here's what happens when she said that. There was a part of me that started to go into defensiveness and explanation. Oh, she thinks I'm a hippie. Oh, she's judging me. Or why do I always wear sandals? And why is she questioning what I'm wearing? What's going on with me? I'm having that experience right now as she asks me this question. And on the other hand, I'm kind of having this experience that it's kind of delighted and going, yeah, why do I always wear sandals? I guess I'm a sandals kind of guy. And what's it to you? So I notice I'm having a variety of experiences from her question. And I'm going to own them all. And I'm not going to try to fling them back at her, because that's what you do when you don't own your experience. You try to fling it back. So I would say, what do you care? That would be me not owning my experience, right? What do you care? What a dumb question. I'm trying to teach you process, and you're looking at my sandals?
Got to do with anything.
Well, so that would be me throwing my experience back at her and not owning it. To own it, I would say, and it's kind of humorous. Your question is kind of challenging me in a kind of cute way, a fun way, because I think I'm not always sure why I wear sandals. They're the easiest to put on. They're the smooth. They're the less clingy to my feet. I have 3 pair of sandals to match all colors of my clothing. I've really committed to sandals. Interesting as observation. I guess I'm a sandals kind of guy. Now that's an example of me owning my experience rather than trying to throw it back at her. So that's an actual demonstration that I just provide with you. Now I've got 4 more things to go through.
But after you express what you are experiencing right now by her question,
Yeah.
don't you have to say something like, yeah, I agree with you?
No.
And you don't have to.
No, I don't have to agree with her or disagree with her.
Just you
I
express
just have
what you
to.
go through.
I just want to own my own experience with her, and I want to make sure that I own my experience and not try to throw something back at her. Doesn't matter whether she's right or wrong, or I like it, or I just want to give her my experience, and my experience was kind of charmed at the question and curious about why I do choose to wear sandals so much.
You could always say thank you.
Oh yeah, I think I realized that I'm a sandal man like that. After you
That would be
experience that
fine.
experience,
That
then
would be-
you can.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, or
Uh-huh.
yeah, you can call me a sandal man like that. So that means
Except
I
I
don't
don't want it
get
to be
affected by
the only shit
you
I would say about that is I don't want to say thank you, because that's about her.
That's what?
That's about her. That's
Oh,
about,
that is true.
I want it to be about me.
About it. Okay.
Oh, I'm charmed by your question, and this is the kind of result I have. If I say thank you, that means I'm putting something back on her. She was a good girl, or she was a bad girl, or I'm the star here. I want to own my experience and share it. I don't want to turn her into the star. Oh, but that's why I hate that. Good question. I hate it when people say that. Well, that's a good question. It puts the attention back on them.
Because that means I could have asked a bad question.
Why don't I just say what was good about the question? I say, well, I really like that question because it really wakes me up to this idea, and I hadn't thought about that before. Or, yeah, I have an immediate answer to that. Here I go. But it's not about her anymore. See, I'm keeping things safe. I'm owning everything and giving her nothing back. So she's going to feel safe around me. She can say anything she wants to me, and she knows she's not going to get lambasted by me. She's not going to get reaction from me. She's going to get a true response from me that's going to be owned. Those are the kinds of people you want to be around.
Yeah. So I feel safe. I mean, if I know that you don't.
Because
do
you
that,
see
then
me being
I feel
vulnerable and
safe,
telling my
yeah.
truth and not trying to get you. Those are the kinds of friends you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
have. And how many friends do you really have like that? Who don't want to put something back on you?
Yes.
Well, why'd you ask me that? Well, that was why do you think that? Well, now we call that conversation, but I call that really battle. I call that battle mode. Throw it back.
Yeah,
Throw it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
ping pong. Throw it, hit it, back and forth and back and forth.
But they're interested. I think I would be glad they were interested.
They're interested in a combative. They're interested in a combative mode.
Yeah.
I think they can be interested without being in combat.
Okay.
I think the original question was somebody being interested.
Sure.
Why do I wear sandals?
Oh.
She's already interested. Do I need a combat before I get that she's interested? Yeah. But I have a tendency to go into combat if I don't take responsibility.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask that.
I like sandals.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I kind of wonder why people haven't asked me that question more often. Yeah. I had a client that tell me that she wasn't going to come and see me anymore, and she said, but I'd like to know why. And I said, yeah. And she said, because you wear Birkenstocks and you don't wear a certain tie, and I want my therapist in certain suit and tie and dress shoes. And we have no confidence in your ability to help us if you're gonna wear sandals. Birkin, you're one of those hippies across from Santa Cruz, and we don't wanna see a hippie. So that was an interesting response to my sandals. And I realized that when I put sandals on, I make a statement to the world. Everything I dress in makes a statement to the world. And I don't care what the statement is to the world, but I know it makes one. I hold you responsible for the statement it makes to you, not me.
Body-mind problem.
Right. So I'm right in the middle of demonstrating right now, and I'm asking you, so what was that demonstration like, class? What was that like to watch that demonstration happen just now? What did you do with what did you do with that? Questions or comments about what I did? Did you see what I mean? Did I demonstrate clearly what I meant by taking responsibility for my own experience? Anybody have some questions about that?
Well, I guess I was a little bit, I'm still trying to reflect on, like, if you might have said, I like that question,
Yeah.
versus, I mean, and yeah, I mean, that's all about you, I like that question. But that also implies that you could not like my question.
Uh-huh.
And
But it would still be up to me.
it would still be up to you.
Still be
But-
my
but-
experience.
Yeah, but then I'm just wondering, well, and I wonder if that's really sufficient for you to say that. I mean, if you say, I like that question, because, I don't know, just, it seems almost insufficient just to say, I like that question.
You say I like sub-question long enough, the rest of the crowd is gonna feeling pretty positive about him, just because you've been polite and he's been polite, and then they're telling truths.
Well, I think I said more than I like that question. Did I not say I like that question? Because I also wonder sometimes why I wear sandals, and
Yeah.
you wanted a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I didn't hear that part
Maybe a
of
little
it.
bit more than just I like that question. But
Yeah.
that still would have been an example of ownership of experience.
Just saying, I like that question.
I like that question.
Maybe
Of course,
just-
it leaves a lot to be left to project onto you, which you might worry about.
It could.
But I'm not and I could project, I like that question, I like the questions you ask, you're a good question answerer.
Yeah.
I don't wanna do that.
But you might even be judging her going, why would she ask me that question?
Well, why
It's
would I
nothing
want
to do with
Why
process.
would I wanna make a judgment about her at all, about that question? Boy, she's a good question answerer, or boy, her questions are very distracting, what's she trying to prove? Why do I even want her to show up at all? She's invited me to show up.
Okay.
And that's what me being responsible for my own experiences. I show up to me. I show up to you through showing up to me.
Right.
I don't show you up. I'm the star. I'm gonna stay the star. Don't take the spotlight away from me. I'm on right now. I'm demonstrating how to own myself, how to keep the spotlight turned on me. I'm teaching you how to allow the spotlight to stay and the minute I say, why did you ask that question? Look, what did I do? I really like that question. Why did you ask that question? I really like that question. I don't know the answer. Quit asking me questions like that. They're stupid. I, you. And what I'm teaching you today is keeping the spotlight here on yourself to demonstrate that you are owning your own experience and you're not trying to give it away to anybody else. Isn't that the original lecture? How to hold on to your own experience and not try to give it away to anybody else. So we're now in question number 2, and we're still processing the demonstration. So in that demonstration, I guess I already did number 2. So did anybody else feel that during that demonstration I wasn't really quite taking full responsibility for my reaction? I guess that was what you were guessing at. Was I taking full responsibility for my reaction? By just saying I like that answer?
You mean I like the question?
I like the question, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, you know, because you added to what the source of that like was,
Yeah.
I think I was able to connect with you even more or understand you more.
Okay. Mhm.
So I really like the depth of, I mean, other than saying, I like that question, I'm going, oh, I wonder why he likes that question.
Does anybody else feel like giving a little bit more response to I like that question can be nice? I mean, that's what you're saying, it can be more connecting to me.
Yeah, I'd like to be connected with the person
Yeah.
that I'm getting, you know, if we're having this thing going on.
Yeah.
It also helps me be brave enough to raise my hand and say, well, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
So, for the people that just sit there and wish they were somebody else.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I'm making myself very connectable too. I'm being very vulnerable, and I'm not doing this like a porcupine with all these needles that stick out. I'm underneath the needles. I'm being very I'm making myself very connectable too.
Mhm.
And so people might feel connected to me if they see me making myself really available to be connected to. So I'm not doing this, I'm doing this. I'm owning my own experience. I'm not denying my own experience and trying to put it out on you. I'm owning it. And that might create more desire for you to connect with me
Yeah.
if I do that. All right.
I've got a friendly relationship rather than teacher-student going.
Right.
Because that's for me, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but, and on the flip side, I mean, like, if you didn't like my question,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would be, I think it would be hard to hear, I don't like that question because I'm feeling like really like that touching something in me that making me feel really uncomfortable or whatever. I mean, I'd rather just hear, wow, the way you just, the question you just asked made me feel, I noticed something coming up in me that, you know, rather than, I don't like that question because.
Yeah. Right.
Because whatever your statement is your responsible. Whatever my response is my responsible. Still, that's a statement that is true. But not everybody feel that exactly at every moment.
That's
So
right.
when I ask my question, it's my responsible. But when you receive my question, you said, that's a good question. That means, let me go on. So give me some more energy to go on and feel, I'm here, I'm in. You
But
said they connect to each other.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
say
think
that's a good question.
yeah. Huh?
Oh,
Are you
because it's-
saying
Yeah, when you say
I don't
something.
want you to say that's a good
Oh.
question.
Because you don't haven't owned it, is that right?
But is that what you, by saying that's a good question?
No, I don't want you to say
Oh.
that's a good question, Chip. I want you to say, well, that question invited me to take a look at why I'm curious. I want you to share, I want to share my experience to your question. I don't want to evaluate your question. That puts the spotlight back on her. Oh, that's a good question. And then she said, well, I could have also said, well, that's a bad question. But I'm keeping it over here. Oh, this is what I did with your question.
Yeah, I'm judging your question.
Yeah, this is, you're the star, you're the problem, you're the solution. This way, I'm in charge. So it sounds like that was a good question, is really subtle, but it's putting the attention back here. Instead, I want you to say, here's my response to that question.
You
You
could
see
just
the
say,
difference?
if we could just say, we say, I don't know, I guess for us, wouldn't just, I'd like to ask a question, would that be easier for you to deal, to put in your brain and like it or not?
So what would I say?
Well, I don't know, I have a question, Can I ask it now? How about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already asked you, I've already given you guys permission to ask me questions. That's where we started from, and then the answer, so yeah, that, you could, the audience may wanna ask permission to ask questions, but I wanna offer it first.
Yes,
Are there any
I see.
questions or comments based on what you saw me do in the demonstration? So I wanna kind of like get there before they do in a way.
Mhm.
All right, so the fourth step is again, turning a question into an experiential exercise. But I'm not gonna do that one now because nobody's asked me a question I needed. Well, you asked me a question about it. You said, can I say, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So listen to this response when I say, Shin, listen to this. You say to me, you're wearing sandals. I notice you're wearing sandals, Don. Why do you always wear sandals?
You want me to say it?
Yeah, say that to me.
Then I have, okay. Then I think you're always wearing the sandals.
Good question. Now say it to me again.
It didn't sound like a good question with your finger pointing at me.
Yes, so we're gonna run it. Now ask me a
Different
question.
way. Now say, Don,
Ask-
I notice you're wearing sandals.
Now ask me. I'm gonna. I
Do
notice
it
you're
again.
wearing sandals again.
Then you always wearing sandals.
I'm kind of like, yeah, I do. Isn't that interesting? I wonder why. I really like sandals. I guess I really like sandals. Now, which one of those reactions did you like
The
best?
second one,
Why?
because it doesn't sound like judging my question.
Because I'm not putting you in the spotlight.
I see. Okay.
I'm staying in the spotlight.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's an example of turning a
Mhm,
question
that's a good one,
into
yeah.
an experiential exercise.
Mm-hmm.
These are challenging to do.
God, yes.
Now we've done lecture and we've done a demonstration,
Yes.
and we're already an hour into the class, and I've said a 5-minute lecture, and we've spent the rest of the time demonstrating it and processing.
Well, I may not be ready to do this tomorrow.
No, you're not gonna have to do all of this tomorrow. You're gonna just do one thing tomorrow, that's all.
Okay.
Now, the third step is to offer experiential exercises, which I just did with Shin, by the way. Now I'm going to involve the whole class in an experiential exercise, hopefully where you might get how to own your own experience without trying to give it away to the other person. And so here's what I want you to do, class. I want you to I want you to start, Deb, and I want you to turn to Elise, and I want you to ask her a question about herself. And Elise, I just want you to keep the spotlight on you when you answer it. So would you just ask her a question about herself?
Hi, Elise. Do you like to drink coffee?
Actually, I don't like coffee at all. I love the smell, and it really comforts me, but no, I prefer tea.
So did she answer the question by herself? Did she try to give any of it back to you again?
No.
All right, now you ask Shin a question about herself. Now just own your response. Don't try to give anything back to her.
Shin, I really appreciate that. I'm noticing that pink scarf and thinking, wow, that looks really nice. I wonder where you got that.
Oh, yes. I had it a long time ago, but I didn't never worn this one. This morning was so cold, so I put it on, and then I'm so glad I did. So many people said, many people complain, say it looks good on me. I like it. I don't like it.
Okay.
Look at you.
So you didn't try to put anything back on her. You
I
didn't
tried
say,
so hard.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't say, oh, thank you, or anything.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, you say something about Carol. Ask Carol a question about herself, and Carol, make sure you just focus on you and your answer.
Okay.
Carol, I'm so glad to see you. You smile a lot. You laugh a lot today. I'm so glad to see you laugh a lot today.
Well, I'm glad you said something.
No, that's putting the attention back on her.
Okay.
Just tell her how it affected you.
I liked what you said. Say some more.
Okay, and again, that puts it back on her. But to say, I like what you said, keeps it on you.
Yeah.
And that's what
okay.
we're practicing here, owning your own experience. Okay,
Usually
Carol.
when you go, this and it, and throw it at the
Yeah.
person.
You notice your tendency to want to give it back.
Yeah.
You want a dialogue.
Yeah,
You want a
yeah.
dialogue here, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
What else do you like about me? You can talk on and on. If you got things you like about me, tell me all of what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not, it's just not what we're learning today.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning to take responsibility for our own experiences. Now, Carol, say something, ask me a question about me.
I would like to ask you a question about myself. Is that okay?
You were asking me if it's okay if you ask a question about yourself.
Yes.
And I notice what I do with that experience is I go into some confusion, and I go into some, I'm wondering why she's asking me for permission to ask herself a question. So I'm kind of self-doubting what we're doing here right now. Okay, do you see how
Yeah.
quickly it would have been easier just to answer her question?
Yeah, but I get a longer,
It's hard to
From-
stay connected to yourself even when you're being invited
I
Yeah.
get more
to
time
pull
with you.
that out. Okay. So, I appreciate your fear, actually. I appreciate your fear of doing things wrong, and I just really appreciate that you have that part of you that wants you to, ugh, I don't like what I'm saying here.
Is this a question or what?
I don't know, I'm totally bollocksed here. I'm trying to just ask her a question about herself and I'm getting all tangled up about it.
What's your right hand was saying to the left hand?
So I kind of I'm appreciating you right now. Are you doing that on purpose? Are you being you look like a lovable bundle of joy now and I want to go over and cuddle you. Are you doing that right now on purpose?
You get up and run.
Now stay with your own experience of yourself, as I said.
Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling very cuddly and loving because I see this cute little doggy over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so jealous of Elise, and it just makes me feel comfy.
Okay, good.
So that might
So-
be what people are feeling.
So that was all about you. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that work?
That was a little bit about my dog too, but
Yeah, and a little bit about your, yeah.
My reaction to you.
All right, so now we've got to run through the 4 steps of that interaction. So, everybody in my class, what was your response to this exercise we just did together? What did you learn from it, and what did you get out of it, and any questions or comments about it?
Ah, very good joining.
I noticed
That's
that
number
how
2.
everybody did it really well, and no one seemed to stumble and make it about the other person. I mean, wow, Don must have really taught that pretty well.
Oh, wow.
I liked it because it feels like we're more a group now, and not just
Yeah.
separate people.
More interaction amongst us here. It's just not Dawn and you, it's
Mhm.
all of you together, not just Dawn, you, Dawn, you, Dawn, you, Dawn.
Like
Yeah.
you're more our equals.
So you're feeling
Yes,
more of a
right.
class now, you're feeling more
Absolutely.
bonded as a class now.
The teacher is
The mentor-disciple relationship.
I've kind of
is
stepped
equal.
out of the cycle a bit and allowed you guys as a group to experience what I'm teaching. And I'm picking up that you like that you did that, that you all felt like you did pretty well, and that you really like this cohesion that it created amongst yourself. Is that what I'm picking up from the group? Uh-huh.
And you're waiting for us. You show them respect for talking.
So you felt
We-
respected.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's fine
Uh-huh.
to ask that kind of question.
Good. So are there any other questions or
I'm-
comments that you want to make about this exercise you guys
Yeah,
did?
I'm very comfortable, and then I feel so safe and comfortable.
Yeah,
So I don't know if you guys know something about, but I talk more than usual. Yeah, that's just
When you're more comfortable, you
Yeah.
talk more,
so
huh?
yeah,
Sure.
that's
Good.
a talk more.
Absolutely. And then you
Uh-huh.
also perk up and not be bored to the
Yeah.
next round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay,
And you've got that you're treated with respect. Right?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
is-
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
all right.
Yeah. Probably on all sides of how to do that. Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about what people think of me. It's all their responsibility, whatever they think of me.
Did anybody else in this group, here's the handoff, did anybody else in this group feel respect and connection?
Yeah.
That's because that's the dominating things I heard you say. You felt connected and
Comfortable,
respected
safe,
and
yeah.
cohesive and more of a group. And
I like it when everybody shares more equally.
yeah,
I don't like it when I'm doing all the talking.
right. Yeah,
That makes me uncomfortable.
yeah. And so you're gonna take ownership of your uncomfortableness, right? Okay.
I do.
That was nice because she didn't try to give us responsibility for her uncomfortableness. You see, she took full responsibility for her experience right now in this moment. Yeah.
But I do find that I get mindful about it, and then I kind of try and step back so other people might step forward a little more.
Okay.
So I didn't have to do that today.
All right. So again, now we're going into step 4, which is inviting interactions, which we've been doing all along in processing, haven't we? We've been inviting interactions. But this is about the whole class now, and I'll step back and say, okay, class, we've had a class now where I lectured a little bit on taking responsibility. I did a demonstration for you about what that looked like, and we did an experience together about what that felt like. And so this is kind of summing up the class now, and I'm wondering, before we close this class, anything you want to say about how this class affected you, or how this class did you learn anything from this class, or did you give anything here that you want to express gratitude, or did you have some, what feedback or evaluation do you want to give this class right now?
Yeah. You could honestly say something like, I'm really happy to have had you today, and I'm looking forward to our next practice, next time we meet. Yeah. And have them mean it. Would be nice.
I'm noticing some gratitude, and also I'm kind of curious. I wonder what the world would be like if everybody just did this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or even maybe somehow, even if they got out of hand, treat that as a positive thing, with we all taught ourselves something we didn't know before, or something. You can make it positive if you want to.
And it reminds me of what often happens in couples relationships when each of the couple, instead of taking ownership for their own experience, tries to project that experience onto the partner, which causes damaging interactions. And then you get this entanglement here because nobody's taking, this is what it looks like to take responsibility for yourselves. But couples often just, they're so tangled that they can't, nobody teaches them to take responsibility for their own experience.
Totally eliminates
And it would be
entanglement,
nice,
doesn't it?
it would be joyful for me to see the majority of people get this concept,
Yeah.
how important it would be to couples relationships and human relationships in general, if everybody kind of dedicated themselves to just trying this one skill of taking ownership of your experience.
Yeah, you know, when I had the couple, the gentleman went to Paul, and the lady, I wanted her to go to Saraswati, that was why. I didn't want to put them as a couple first, because she wasn't taking any kind of ownership as to her experience at all, and she was just putting it all on him. And I thought it would be really bad to get the two of them together, it wouldn't be productive, until she was able to take some of that responsibility.
So you as therapists then might be able to look to see if your clients are capable of taking responsibility for their own experiences and recognizing when they can do that. They could come together as a couple more And the less they can do that, the more they maybe have to be separate till they can. So as therapists, we all have to be aware, not only on are we taking responsibility for ours, are our clients in that moment taking responsibility for their experiences. And you'll notice mostly they won't. They'll come in and say, my mother made me feel bad today. Or, you know, they'll come in with a blame, or they'll make somebody else the reason they're having the experience. So just this concept alone, how do we teach this to clients? Client, you're upset right now. Can you take responsibility for the fact that you've made yourself upset right now? There's nobody in this room. Your mother's not here yelling at you right now.
It's a really
and you're
hard
still
concept
having
for
it's the
some
concept of ownership, and in the process model, this concept of ownership
Yes.
is really what we're talking about today, is the concept of ownership in the process model.
And almost no kids have ever dreamed like saying, Johnny hit me and I decided to hurt and started to cry, or because I did something. As having to give the person a chance to say, I'm feeling this way.
I'm angry, I'm upset,
Yeah.
I'm frustrated that Johnny hit me, but it still takes ownership to say that.
Yeah.
And not go back and say, and Johnny's a poop
Yes.
for hitting me.
Right.
Yes. And I
Or
don't
why
have.
can't he see what he's done to me?
Right.
Right.
I'm having one client, I've been seeing her for 7 months, and I cannot get her to accept this. Just this simple concept right there.
What does he say? What does she say over again?
She blames the ex-boyfriend for just everything.
The lawnmower made me cry or something. Yeah.
She just can't.
That's hard.
And I don't see her enough because she just doesn't have enough money to come more than once a month.
Yeah.
So blaming is another way of saying non-owning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we've been talking about today is learning how to own our own experience.
Well, it's hard if the lawnmower noise made me so I couldn't blah blah blah, and that seems to think
So how can you?
so obvious, you know.
How can you
Yeah.
take ownership? How can
Yeah.
you change your
Yeah.
own experience?
It's really hard. I think when
Earplugs. There's physical
Yeah.
things you can do.
even for a grown-up, that it doesn't work, but it's still true.
And
Yeah.
as you said that, Deb, what I was thinking of is the next lesson needs to be, once you can take ownership of your experience, how can you change your experience?
Yes.
Yes, there's
So that
really
might be the next
Yes.
thing on our agenda to take into account in this class. You're owning it now, but it's still bugging you. The lawnmower's still buzzing and you're still irritated and frustrated about it, but you're owning it. You're not trying to blame you're not gonna go kill the lawnmower guy anymore. You're gonna feel the irritation.
It's also the
And now, let's explore some concepts about what we could do to actually change that, transcend that experience. So that experience wouldn't dominate you anymore.
There are people that I'm working with that hate their job,
Yeah,
that I'm trying to work with that concept.
yeah.
How can you change your experience so until you can find another job that you can deal with this and be okay and
Yeah.
tolerate this, increase your tolerance to it. Yes, just trying to do that.
When I'm thinking
Got
of
a
some
couple of
things
people
like mindfulness is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yes.
If we could teach people mindfulness, they could learn to not only own their experience, but actually have an effect on their experience. But that's another time. Let's come back to anything else in this class that we went through today that you learned or you want to share appreciations for or resentments for or confusions about in order to complete this class for yourselves today. What kinds of things would you like to say to each other? Or to me?
I appreciate everybody showing up that came today. Thank you.
I appreciate today's lecture. I just walked in and you started and I go, that's what I need.
Right?
So I really appreciate it. Yeah. And in a way, it doesn't sound right, but I'm glad to be only have 5. I probably have more. If we have more people, I might not comfortable as I was. So then, not that I want more people and then listen to that because lecture. But that's how I feel. That okay.
Well, I also appreciate that I was important enough for y'all to stay.
Ah,
I thought that the class might be canceled if you heard that so many people were gonna be gone. I thought, I'm gonna miss out.
okay.
So I was happy.
Yeah,
There was a
I have to work on
concern
this.
on my part with just you here, how much of this I would have been able to cover, but I didn't even know this is what I was gonna cover today to begin with, so. I'm appreciating me right now, and my willingness
Very
to
good
be
improv.
here, and my willingness to just stay with my commitment to share allowance and consciousness with you, and to discuss the concept of ownership. And it's been very fun and fulfilling for me to do that. So I thank me first for being able to do that, and thanking you for being part of that process with me. All right, time. So that was one demonstration of teaching ownership and following, getting ready, and then going through the 5 steps and processing each of the 5 steps as you went along. So any questions about that? That was a demonstration of what I mean by teaching.
I thought that was nuts, so that's why.
It takes practice. You've been saying
Yes.
another way the last 30 years, and
Well, it's taken us an hour and a half to just walk through it together. So I'm not saying, Deb, by Saturday morning, be prepared to do all of these steps when you go into the basic process class, and make sure you follow every one of these steps as you do that. Because this class is designed to teach you how to do this over a year's period of time. So we're going to use the process curriculum to practice it, but this is essentially what this class is practicing. It's really a class in teaching. We could call it the teaching class rather than the advanced process class. And there are a lot of steps here to get good at making sure we can do them all. And then when you can do them all, you can throw them all out, because they'll just start to come naturally to you.
Right.
They'll make sense. And you won't even have to be linear. You'll be jumping around from demonstration to experience to lecture, and the whole thing will just kind of, it won't be this thing you've got to memorize and know. But it's going to take a while for you to get used to flowing through each one of these steps.
Yeah. Feels kind of
I mean,
rickety at the moment.
I notice, like, when I'm thinking about all the various steps, like, I'm like, oh, it seems really clear to me, and I'm like, I know I can do this, with the possible exception of demonstration and the experience. I mean, coming up with the demonstration or the experiential piece. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, let's see, how are we going to experience
That can be in you. I noticed I didn't have it, and I just made it up on the spot. But sometimes you can think before you come in, how am I going to demonstrate this? And what kind of experiential exercises am I going to build? That's kind of the prep you can do for the concept you're going to teach as well.
Right.
Because you can't, I think it's hard to be spontaneous and just figure it out in the moment. I think
It
that's
is, but like when I'm with a client and I'm thinking, like, they want to get, I'm trying to think of an experience that makes them get frustrated.
Yeah.
Oh, not going, I mean, oh, well, I mean, I'll come up with an idea and I'll judge it myself. I'm going, at least that's really stupid. What do you think? Pick up this eraser 10 times and put it down. You know? Yeah. But I just let go of that, right? I mean, so I just have to kind of, I think,
I have trouble with
trust
those
in
too.
myself and
Yeah.
I have trouble too.
say,
you're teaching allowance and consciousness anyway, so maybe you bungle the curriculum a bit. That's not what you're really teaching. You're really teaching a way of being in this universe. So we could spend a little time coming up with some other experiential exercises we could have used during my lecture on ownership, or what kind of demonstrations we could have used in demonstrating ownership.
Yeah.
Okay. These are things you might have thought of before you even came in to teach this class on ownership. But let's talk about. So demonstration. Demonstration is showing them an example before you actually ask them to do it. So usually demonstration comes before experiential exercise, because you want them to say, oh, that's what, oh, I saw you do it. Now I want you guys to do it. So it's a little different when I'm doing it and you're doing it. You start to get a little bit of the experience by watching me do it, but you'll get the full experience of doing it. So that's why when I'm doing a demonstration, I want to be clear. Have you all got clear what I'm doing here? Because now I'm going to ask you to do it. But if they're not clear about the demonstration, they're certainly not going to be able to be clear about the experiential exercise.
Right.
So how else could I have demonstrated the concept of ownership?
I like handles.
Okay,
Owning the handles that
okay.
trying to.
So we're not going to teach handles. We're going to teach ownership.
How can you?
Are you going to demonstrate ownership by using handles?
You can.
Okay,
can't you?
let's do that. How would that look?
Can't you? Because you own which that's in disallowance, right? So
Okay.
you're owning that, and you have that. So.
Okay, I see that. So how would you demonstrate
So being
that?
able to release that would be allowance.
So
I
can
guess
you
that's the
demonstrate that
opposite.
for us?
Let me think this through a second.
Okay.
So so handles are disallowance though. If we want to be in allowance and have ownership.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually the opposite, you're right.
Well, letting go of handles
Yes.
would be ownership. I'm not gonna grab handles.
Well, you
That's the
own
way
your
of
being.
keeping ownership, by not being yanked out of my handles. So in a way you could use handles to demonstrate ownership. So here's an example, people. You try to take my ownership away from me, and then I'll try to take my ownership away from me, and then I'll try to take your ownership away from you. That's the three handles, isn't it? Three handles are trying to change the client,
Yes.
allowing the client to try to change you, or you trying to change yourself. So those are the three handles. So ownership would be, I'm not going to allow you to take my handle. I'm not going to take ownership of your handle. I'm not going to allow you to take ownership of my handle. I'm not going to take ownership of my own. I'm going to take ownership of my own handle. So I can see how you could use handles to demonstrate. It's a little confusing.
It could be confusing.
So how could I demonstrate ownership? I want to demonstrate it in front of you so you can see me do it. That's why I said, say, you guys add
Maybe
each of
because
these.
I own my fear.
Okay.
I own my fear of what I'm doing,
So how would you demonstrate that?
right?
So
Why would I
class,
doing it?
watch
You
me.
own
Watch
your
me not
energy.
go into fear.
Right.
Each one of you try to invite me into fear, and I'll demonstrate how I won't go into fear. Cool?
How I maintain control of that.
By taking ownership of my own fear and not allowing your fear to scare me or something.
Don, there's a spider right there on your shoulder.
Oh shit.
You got arachnophobia?
Oh no, I don't like spiders. Get it off.
I'm not a spider person. I can't help you with that.
So
I think you have to take owner. Oh, are you kidding?
this was a demonstration.
You're kidding, right?
It was a demonstration.
Oh God.
So I noticed that in my demonstration, I allowed your fear to scare me and create my own experience of fear.
God, I thought you were telling the truth.
But
Sorry.
but so she could have, so if she used
I'm
this
sorry.
as a, this is a demonstration of how somebody can pick up on other people's fear and scare themselves.
Okay.
But it has, but it's still not, still not about ownership.
Well, I couldn't help you anyway.
Because all I want
Oh
to
my
do in
gosh.
this example is own my fear. I don't want to project it back onto you.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're looking for examples
Yeah.
where I don't take ownership of my experience, but you try to get me to take ownership of your experience.
Okay.
So what else, how else could we demonstrate that?
How,
I'm very disappointed that I didn't learn about being in your class today. I had expected that.
So I'm going to demonstrate ownership. I'm going to say, oh, well, my experience is to be self-reflective, and I'm exploring what I did this class that you were not happy with. So I'm finding myself holding on to my own experience of checking out. I didn't plan on covering being today in class. So I'm aware, I'm a little confused that I have this concern. What are we in the middle of? Am I providing the demonstration here? Is that the
Mhm.
idea? So I want to own my experience. My experience is confusion. And I'm going over, I didn't have an intention to share anything about being today in class. So I might understand how you felt it was missing. And that's okay with me. That might be ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise I go, oh my God, I did something wrong.
Right. Wasn't in the curriculum for the day.
Yeah. So we're looking for ways for you to demonstrate ownership. The way you do that is to demonstrate both ownership and disownership.
how about
You
this?
have to be able to find ways to show them what it's like to own it, and show them what it's like when you don't own it. Yeah. Go ahead, Shin.
No, this is what's happening. You two are very close friends, so you talk a lot about the same thing, and then one day you talk about him. You talk about him is something bad about him, and he's really bad, and then so you talk about him, but okay. Then later one of you go out and tell people, and even to him, and you talk bad about him and behind his back. Do you understand? So somehow she found out that
Gossiping.
gossiping.
Mhm.
So, and then people start talking about, oh, she's that kind of person. I mean, and then said, oh, people talk about him bad. So you realize it, and so he was so mad, and then she's blaming the people who talk about him behind his back. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
So
this
he
is,
would be mad at me.
so he was so bad, and he was
So what are you demonstrating?
demonstrating is that the part of the reason is because I was accused by people, and I'm such a, gossiper and slander, is because it was my fault, because No, this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one who started talking about somebody behind his back or her back. So even though I am attacking the people who talk about me behind my back, if I own that my anger about people talking about me is, oh, does it make sense?
Yes,
Yeah. I own that everything. I'm mad at and I disappointed about my friend, and that just means I own that feeling, and then I just think about what I can do and what I did wrong.
Mm.
So that's owning my anger and disappointment.
Yes.
People,
That's it.
yeah.
That would be an example. of
Not
owning your
not
anger.
owning is I just attack the people who talk about
Right,
Mhm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
me. Yeah.
So you would demonstrate that in front of
Uh-huh.
the class, show them what it would be like to own it,
Own
and
it
then
and
show
not,
it what it would be like to blame.
yeah.
And that's a demonstration class.
I think that could be easy because all the women they can understand.
The gossip.
What is that?
So now the other question is, now how do you create an experiential exercise where everybody
Mm-hmm.
can experience the process of owning and not owning their reactions?
Or yes, if you two people, one person, you know what, she told me about what you did, and you just talk about people, and then you just, how you own and how you react. First you can be angry, but now you just, you can say about how you're owning and,
Right.
oh,
So when I did it, I had everybody just own,
yeah,
and I didn't give them the opportunity to not own. So
yeah.
we could have gone around another cycle and say, this time, don't own your experience. Try to shove it back at them.
Yes.
So now you could experience what it was like to not own, and then we'd go another round where you could learn to experience ownership, or go around and have them do both. You say
Yeah,
something
yeah.
about Carol, and she first
Yes.
of all she disowns
Mm-hmm.
and yells at you,
Mm-hmm.
and second thing she owns.
Yeah.
So that would be another
Mm-hmm.
example. That's how you could have done another experiential exercise here. Because usually you want to show them the contrast,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's good.
Yeah, makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you could do this in diodes or popcorn style where you go around the room.
Yeah.
Or, so I could have paired you up and say,
Mhm.
okay, now you try to get her, to give her ownership away to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to hold on to your ownership. Go.
Mm-hmm.
And for 5 minutes, then I'd switch you around,
Mm-hmm.
do it. And I could come over and visit you guys and see how you were doing.
Hmm.
So you could do this popcorn style
Yeah.
or diode style or even a triad
The
style.
pair, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Mm.
What's Ally think of that?
What I said and what I make that thing is that's it. It's a taking or not is your responsibility. So I don't have to worry about that's a good idea or not a good idea.
You got
I
it.
don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
You can if you want to.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
So how do you chop this thing up into pieces so it's not so encompassing, right? I mean, the outline is
Yeah.
designed to chop, the outline chops it into pieces so you can just take one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of practicing this would be like, say, well, I'm gonna do prep first, I'm gonna get ready. The
Mhm.
first two steps are to get okay with me and to get okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna pick my topic, I'm gonna talk about introspection today. And then I'm going to create a lecture out of it, and then I'm gonna process that lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm gonna create a demonstration out of it, and process that demonstration. And I'm gonna create an experience of that, and process that experience.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna get you guys to interact about it and process that experience. So it's broken down into steps. So if you wanna be, if you wanna be a master of this process, then we have to keep working each week on taking little steps and doing this with each other.